Hello, welcome to Breakfast All Day. This is Matt. Alonso's here. Christy is here. I am no longer here. I'm no longer here is the name of a new film on Netflix. One of my fine friends will tell you the Spanish title because my Spanish is terrible. So I'll let them do it. I didn't see the movie, but they did, so they'll talk about it. I'm going to take it.
This is a Mexican production, but it is streaming globally on Netflix. The original title, No Estoy Aquí. And it is from a filmmaker, writer-director Fernando Frías, who has directed several episodes of HBO's Los Spookies, if that's credential enough for me. This is a really impressive film. It is set in Monterrey, Mexico, and in New York City. Monterrey. With two R's. Actually, I think R is one letter.
R es una letra, sí.
Yeah.
Tienes razón, lo siento.
Oh, Christy, such a shame.
Carretera. Ferrocarril. I'm done now. I'm done.
Enhorabuena.
How do you say it in Russian?
Ya no знаю.
So it's set in Monterrey, and a young man named Ulises is part of kind of a sub gang where the group that he's in, they're not violent, they don't do anything bad, they're just super obsessed with a specific kind of cumbia music called Colombia that is very much slowed down, that they have very kind of elaborate dancing set to that music. But eventually that life does catch up with him, and for the safety of his family, he is sent off to go live in New York City. So the movie jumps back and forth between his life in New York and flashbacks to Monterrey. In New York, he doesn't know anybody. He doesn't speak the language. He has a falling out with the people that he's living with and is sort of stuck on his own, winds up kind of moving into the sort of little rooftop shack of an Asian grocery store owner. And he becomes friends with the guy's granddaughter. And he is sort of, continues with this sort of obsession with this music. And it's his one sort of link to the home and friends that he left behind. But, New York is not welcoming. And it is this sort of portrait of alienation of somebody who's from a very specific cultural subculture and just trying to make his way through the world. I have to also describe his hair.
It's crucial to who he is.
It is very much part of his character. It is like, imagine the sort of headdress you would see somebody wearing if they were doing traditional kind of Aztec dancing, but that's his hair. Like the sides of it hang down really long, the top of it sticks up and is colored yellow. It's very unique and distinctive. And you keep thinking this is going to be the kind of movie where like he finds his people in New York, where New York is such a melting pot and represents so much of the world. He's going to find the other people out there who love the same kind of music, and it does not happen. Like he is on his own, and this is a really just like sad but beautiful film.
I really like this too, and it's such a vivid slice of life, the Mexico portions especially. Like it's such a specific subgenre, and the enthusiasm that he and all of his friends have for like different songs that they trade with each other and their clothes, they all have like kind of a similar, like brightly hued, like baggy street gear. And it's about like asserting your independence and your individuality, but also finding your place within a group. And you can see how alive they all feel when they're together and when they're dancing. And it's this great combination of like ancient old world traditions and just totally modern, now refreshing, alive youth culture. And the dances that they do to the cumbia that they've made their own.
Yeah.
It's primal. Like the men kind of like, they're like, almost flapping out their wings like they're roosters, kind of like showing off for the ladies. And the women are like shaking their butts. And it's like this very, very primal kind of mating dance. But the music is totally contemporary. And now beautiful long tracking shots through this neighborhood where they live in Monterrey, and like the going through like the narrow kind of graffiti strewn alleyways and climbing up the abandoned construction site that is like their base is so beautiful in its decay. Like it's tragic and sad, but kind of gorgeous at the same time. And the views of the mountains, because northern Mexico, this portion of it is very mountainous. And so they're in the streets, they're in the concrete, but like the mountains are sort of majestic and timeless in the distance. And it's just so specific and so evocative that the sections in Mexico, for me, were a lot stronger than the ones in New York. I very much like that portion of it as well. And there is like a back and forth that takes place in terms of time. I think the fact that his name is Ulysses is not an accident because he does go on an odyssey of his own. True. Although this is not linear. This is a back and forth to his journey of self-realization. But yeah, you're right. It's not like a feel-good immigrant story, and even the people who are maybe also from Mexico or maybe also are Spanish speakers, they tool on him for his hair, for his music, these things that he loves deeply that define him to his core. They make fun of him for them. And even his accent, it's not the same kind of Spanish accent.
Oh, thank God for subtitles.
Right?
between the very specific sort of regionalism and the dialect and then like teen slang on top of that, I was like, I don't know what's being said here.
Right. I don't speak Spanish nearly as well as you do, Alonso, but like I needed it for the Spanish portions myself, so that was good.
But there's gang violence that figures in the plot, but it's so not like a movie about gangs or like narco traficantes. Like it is not that at all. It's not like it's there to sort of push the story along, but it's so not interested in being another one of those movies. This is so uniquely kind of a character piece.
Yeah, and I love the friendship that he cultivates with the 16-year-old Asian girl who is sweet and sheltered and like fascinated by his really unique otherness, where everybody else looks at him like he's a freak. She sees the sweetness in him. And even though like she speaks a little bit of Spanish and he speaks no English, like they find a way. I like the scene where they're sitting side by side in the library, communicating through Google Translate.
Yes. And YouTube clips.
Yeah. There's like a purity and a sweetness to it. In a world that is really harsh and really unforgiving. It's sort of an indictment of how hard it is to be an immigrant in our country right now, but in this one little ray of hope is delightful. So much so that I kind of wish that had been developed further. Like not that it needs to be necessarily a concrete romantic thing, but she's so great that the fact that friendship is fleeting.
Well, I think the movie keeps dangling these possibilities. Like he meets a woman who is like a dance hall girl, basically. I don't know how else to describe her.
Oh, the woman who could like be a mom figure to him.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, she's from Colombia and she listens to a lot of the groups that he likes, but she hates the way that he listens to it, which is like super slowed down. The guys that he's staying with, they bring some girls home and they want to see him dance and he starts dancing and the girls kind of get into it and the guys like turn it off like, yeah, this is bullshit. Like, and then they, and then the friendship with the girl, it's like they dangle these possibilities of connection and these possibilities of like, building bridges with other people and kind of finding his people and then just snatch them away. And I think that's very intentional on the film. I think it's sort of like this idea of like, this guy is just not going to find, tragically, the way, the same kind of community that he had to flee, from in Monterrey.
You really feel his loneliness in a sense of isolation. Like he doesn't belong anywhere anymore. This is a Netflix movie. I wrote in my review for Ebert, this is like the rare Netflix movie that I really wish I had seen on the big screen.
Sure, yeah.
Because it's so beautiful. Like the scenes you're talking about with the dance hall woman where he goes back to her apartment. They're like this really rich kind of vibrant shade of purple that like it instantly grabs you, but it's also kind of calming at the same time. There's a lot of images that I wish I'd seen projected large.
And like you said, just the way the camera moves through those alleyways and stuff, it's like, yeah, this is very assured filmmaking. And it would be nice to see it projected. But you know what? Watch it on Netflix. It's still great. You should see it.
Yeah, such is our life these days.
Indeed.
Unless you go to a theater in California on Friday, which you can do, which we'll talk about on the podcast when we do news on Friday.
We will indeed.
No thanks. Anyways, I'm saying 8. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, I said 7.8. I think this is really terrific, and I hope people will go check it out.
Same. So 7.9 is our number.
Yes. So thanks for watching, everybody. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out on social media at BeFastAllDay on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And of course, visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. We are doing TV recaps. We're carrying on with The Great on Hulu, and also looking at the new ESPN 30 for 30 about Bruce Lee, Be Water, that aired this week, and lots of other fun exclusive stuff for our Patreon subscribers. So do give that a look. In the meantime, we'll be back Friday with more reviews. Everybody take care of yourselves and each other, and until then, bye.
I was going to say really fast. There's a lot.
Sorry.
There's a lot this week, actually, movie-wise, because we've got The King of Staten Island, we've got Artemis Fowl, we've got
Five Bloods.
We've got Defy Bloods. We've got 4 episodes of The Great. And was there something else in Patreon we were going to do? Oh, at some point we're going to do the queer film that you all chose for us, right?
Yes. We had a vote out for that. That was a Patreon exclusive. They get to pick which of a handful of queer titles that are all streaming on Tubi that we're going to watch. I don't have the winner in front of me, but we'll pick it and we'll watch it and we'll talk about that. And we have a very fun sort of ongoing project coming up as well that's going to be a Patreon exclusive. So
we do?
Don't know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot. My brain's a blur. I'm discombobulated. But yeah, so we're going to do more movies this week. So and news. So thank you for sticking with us last week where we just did an hour of news. We'll dip back into news again this week, but we have actual reviews and stuff. So thank you for hanging out with us.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.